and welcome to Air Military Collectibles. So in today's video what we're covering this item. This is a night watch helmet version that was worn by the RUC. We have done a video on this version before, but we have it out to compare the two of them, and we will talk in depth about both of them, but more so specifically this one. So I'm going to take them off the mannequin heads now a minute because it's a bit easier when we're talking about them. So as you see with this type helmet, this is your standard bobbies type helmet that if anyone from a child or whatever thinks of the British policeman or the British bobby, this is what they're thinking of. Night watch helmets have been around from the Victorian area in different styles and things like that. This version, belonging to the RUC, is known as the bowler type. Self-explanatory why it's known as the bowler type. This is the rarer of the night watch helmets to try and find in relation to RUC collecting or banner collecting. This is the rarer of them. There is a third version that basically has this type of seam that you see here on the edge, but it goes horizontally up the top and down the back. I don't have one of them. Maybe in the future we'll pick one up, but I have a version of each type. So as I said, this is called the bowler type. This was used pretty much straight after the Second World War, all the way up until the 60s. I believe 68 was when you see these start to come out of service. Unfortunately at that time in Northern Ireland you come across, or the start of Op Banner, the start of the troubles in the north was happening around that era, and traditional policing, traditional law, shall we say, was starting to leave the province, unfortunately, and the RUC had to adapt and obviously move forward with their policing style. Now, I'm not saying that everything that the RUC did was correct. That's politics. We'll leave that out, and we'll talk about that a different day maybe. So, getting in depth more back into the helmets. This helmet is known as the rose top, which is self-explanatory. In collector circles it's known as the rose top. It's also known as the Derry or the Londonderry version, because it was believed, I haven't found proof of it, but it's believed that this was issued specifically for Derry and Londonderry, and this one is known as the bowler type, as we said, or the Belfast version, because this was supposedly issued to Belfast officers. But you do see pictures of officers in Belfast wearing this, and you see officers in Derry wearing, or Londonderry, whichever you want to call it, wearing this version. Whether that was they were just there on assignment, or they were there for training purposes, or whatever, I don't know. These were worn by constable or sergeants and below. They weren't worn by female officers, so it was a male officer, a sergeant or a constable that would wear these. I have tried this one on, and it's very, very uncomfortable compared to this one. It's literally completely round, there's no give in it, and it catches you in the front of the head and catches you in the back of the head. It's this one anyway, shall we say, if we can I'll move it into main frame. If you see, it's got the standard RUC cap badge in the front. Now I did find research for officers for a bit of individualism, or constables for a bit of individualism. They would shine this badge. It's actually black, but some of them would shine just the writing and the centre part, or some of them would shine the whole badge, just for a bit of individuality. Now, as I said, this helmet was worn from pretty much straight after the Second World War, all the way up until the 50s and 60s. It seems to have come out of service in 1968. I can't find an exact date when they came out of issue. But this one was around up until 1968. But it seems to have been stopped being issued from 1962 onwards. So it was probably just constables that still had them, that were still allowed to use them, or there were still a few of them just after being out of stores. So from 62 until 68, this one was being replaced by this one. This one is the one that you see being used from pretty much the 50s up until the 68 when you see them come out of service. I haven't found a date when these came into service or come out of service, but I have found a date that says these were started to be replaced by 1962, but you see them up until 1968. So there you go. So there are my two Night Watch, RUC, Police Constable, or Sergeant and Police Constable Night Watch helmets. Been around from the Victorian age. As I said, this one is known as the bowler type, this one is known as the rose type, obviously because of the rose on the top of it. This one is also known as the Derry or the Londonderry version, and this one is the Belfast version. For people that are collecting, or purely people that want to get into collecting, there's a few things that you could be looking up on the internet to get about information. So if you like what we provide here at Era Military Collectibles, please like, please subscribe, and please hit the notification button. If you want to get in contact with the channel, as always, the email will be on top of the video description. Thank you.